Hello students, in this class we will discuss about the three-level abstraction of database. As the name suggests, there are three levels of abstraction. So what are three levels? Let's see. So the three-level data abstraction is mostly dealing with three levels. They are the external level, conceptual level and the internal level. So before going into the details of these labels, let us try to understand what is a schema. Schema means it is the logical design of the database. Logical design means what? There is no data available, only the structure. The structure is called as the schema. Like for example, there is a student table or student details we want to discuss. So for student, what are the details we want to deal with? Those are mostly called as the attributes like the roll number. Then I can have the name, the age, city, the CGP. So I can see in the student we are dealing with 5 details like roll number, name, age, city, age. These are called as the attributes, and the overall structure is called as the schema. The schema name is your student. So from the student, if we'll try to understand, the different user groups can view the student in a different way. For example, there is a professor. So the professor may go for dealing with the details of student with considering the roll number, name and CGPA. So the age and city are immaterial for the professor. There is one mentor. So for mentor, what are the details required? For mentors, they are dealing with the student uh, with the data like roll number, name, city, CGPA. So for mentor, the age is immaterial. So out of the student, for professor, we are dealing with only the roll number, name, CGPA. Whereas for mentor, we are dealing with only the roll number, name, city and CGPA. So do you think for professor and mentor we are going for storing the student in a different ways? No, it is never. The data is stored for the student in a single time only. So from the same student database, we are extracting the details for professor in a different way, and we are extracting the details to the mentor in a different way. So there comes our abstraction. So as you see, we are having different user groups for accessing the data. So there we are having the different external label. So external label means what? This external label means we can view the details from the underlying database in different ways by hiding the other details. Like in the previous example, for professor we are dealing with the roll number, name, CGPA, and we are hiding the details like the age and the city. Similarly for mentor, we are dealing with the roll number, name, city, age, and we are hiding the age. So here if we'll see for external label, we have to go for creating one external schema or the view schema or view label abstraction for professor as one group, for mentor as another group. So there we are having the external view for different user groups. Here I am dealing with 2, it can be any number. Then we'll go to the conceptual schema. Conceptual schema means what? It deals with the overall database structure. It deals with the overall database structure, but it doesn't tell anything about the physical storage. What is the hard disk? What indexes will be used? How many bytes will be used? All these details are not going to be discussed in this conceptual level. The conceptual level only deals with the overall global schema. So what are the table? What are the different attributes of the tables? Those will be discussed in this conceptual level. So that means here it is dealing with the entities, the data types, relationships, constraints. but it is never telling about the physical structure details. So you can see here. And another point you must be understanding from this conceptual label is, for a single database we can have the global view by this conceptual label only. So now the question is, let I am having a particular table or particular data of a particular database. So how many conceptual schema I can have? I can have exactly one conceptual schema, but I can have multiple external schemas. Like in this question, uh, the student is one. From the student we can view the student in different ways to the different user groups. So multiple external schemas, but one conceptual schema. I think it is clear, the conceptual schema and the external schema. Let's move to the internal schema or internal label. So this internal label is very close to the storage. It deals with the actual storage of the database. So what indexes will be used, which bytes will be used, what is the location of every data, everything will be dealt with the internal schema or physical schema. So like your conceptual schema, your internal schema is also only one for a particular table. For a particular table I can have only one internal schema like the conceptual schema, but you can have multiple external schemas. So you can see internal schema is very much close to the actual database. So in the external schema, that is dealt with the conceptual schema. Multiple external schemas can be dealt with a single conceptual schema. From the conceptual schema, we can go for providing the request to the internal schema. Again, internal schema can give the response. Accordingly, the response can be given to the respective external schemas. Now the question is, in this example, if you see student containing the roll number, name, age, city, CGPA. So where it should be present? So is there any physical details we are maintaining here? We are specifying here? No. Is it containing overall structure of the student? Yes. That means the student with the 5 attributes like the roll number, name, age, city and CGPA will be present in the conceptual schema because the overall structure is available. And if we go to the professor viewing of the student, mentor viewing of the student, we have to go for the different external views, external schemas, at the external label. Here I can have the student for the professor. Here I can have the student details for the mentor. So by using the different external view, I can go for extracting the details from the single conceptual schema to the different external views. Now for the internal schema, so normally it is done by the database administrator. So what is the storage mechanism they are using, what type of hard disk they are using, all the details will be mentioned there. So that we can discuss later on. So in this case, I'll go for skipping one data, like let one record is like 1, name is XYZ, the age is 19, city is let BBS, let CGPA is 8.9. So 1 indicates the roll number, name is the XYZ, 19 is the age, BBS is the city, CGPA is the 8.9. When the professor is accessing, what data the professor will access? When the professor is accessing, the professor will extract what? The roll number as 1, the name as XYZ and the CGPA as 8.9. This is accessed by the professor. What about the other details? Whether the professor is interested? No. That means those will be hidden from the professor. Consider another example. Let professor is trying to insert the record. Let professor is trying to insert the record like roll number equal to 2. Let name equal to AB. Let CGPA equal to 9.5. So when the professor is trying to insert this record, what will happen to the age? What will happen to the city? So whether the professor is inserting them? No, the professor is not inserting. That means they are not available for the insertion, or the age and the city will be treated as the null values in this case. Okay. So who will manage, who will maintain that relationship? So whenever we are giving the request from the external label to the conceptual label, response from the conceptual label to the external label, who will maintain that? Similarly, from the conceptual label to the internal label, whatever the interaction we are doing, who will manage that? So there it will be managed by the mappings. So mapping means what? It is the process of transforming the request and results between the different labels. So whatever the request response interaction we are getting, that is called as the mapping. There are two types of mapping, one between the external and the conceptual, one between the conceptual and the internal. So whatever the mapping we are having between the external and the conceptual, that is called as the external conceptual mapping, and the mapping which is existing between the conceptual and the internal, that is called as your conceptual internal mapping. Now students, another point, let us try to understand. So whenever we are going for having the structure of the student like the roll number, name, age, city, CGPA, if I'll add another column like mobile number, let mobile number we are adding as the another column, will it affect to the access of the data to professor and the mentor? It is always no, because whatever the details the professor and mentors are accessing, that is already existing. So if we modify the structure of the student, it doesn't matter to them. That means we can easily modify our conceptual schema without affecting the external views. So this is, I mean, we can independently do it. That's why this is called as the conceptual data independence or logical data independence. So logical data independence means what? The conceptuals can be modified without affecting the existing internals, the external schemas, right? Now similarly, whatever the physical storage we are having, physical structure we are having, we can easily modify them without affecting to the conceptual schema as well as the external schemas or external views, and that is called as the physical data independence. Internal schema can be modified without affecting the conceptual schema as well as the external schemas. So what we understood from this till now, there is a mapping between the external and the conceptual called as the external conceptual mapping. There is one mapping existing between the conceptual level and the internal level called as conceptual internal mapping, and internal schema can be modified without affecting the conceptual schema, without affecting the external schemas, that is called as physical data independence. And the conceptual schema we can modify without affecting to the external views, external schemas, called as the logical data independence, right? So thank you.